Hello, good morning everyone. Today is a good day. It's a good day and it's a cold and snowy day. Feels kind of like the middle of February. Hunkered down here in my home office where I've been spending a lot of time, and I've been spending a lot of time just doing virtual work and taking time. It's been kind of my creative studio, and I've really enjoyed that. And I've spent a lot of time here with all of you. And so I'm going to have some really great memories of this time. It's going on, I think, 4 weeks now, this coming Thursday or Wednesday, of doing these morning meditations together. And wow, what a nice rhythm, to just get up and begin the day, start to prepare my mind and body, and then come down here at 7 o'clock and spend this time together. And I'm very aware that this, had it not been for this, this crisis, this health crisis, that this never would happen. So, that's really the art in life, is to hold opposites. We recognize and legitimize the challenge that we're facing, and at the same time, also putting even attention on the blessings that flow out of the challenge. So to me, it's always like the scales balance. We don't ignore the challenge or pretend like everything's okay, and at the same time, we don't totally focus on that. We say, and this other wonderful thing grew out of this experience, and then the scales balance mentally, emotionally, somatically. So that's what I'm feeling this morning. And I see Darlene is on. Good morning, Darlene. And Henrietta and Kathy are on. Good morning. Hope all three of you had a wonderful Easter. And we've got find creative ways to stay active and healthy here in this fresh blanket of snow. And it looks like we're going to have a nice steady warm up into the weekend. So we'll be blending with each day as it arrives. So today, I started yesterday this exploration into independent will, and this is a pretty big subject, actually, as I've been reflecting on it. Like, what are the ways that this human freedom to be self-aware, this human freedom to be creative and access our creative imagination, and this other human freedom of independent will to cut our own path, to at times decide to swim upstream, to say, I know that the norm is to go right, and that's what everybody's doing. And you know what? As I access my values, I access my conscience, I need to go left here. And these moments of independent will often, not always, but often, in my experience, have there's a certain courage to swim upstream, to cut your own path, even when it's not necessarily popular or the norm, because in some ways, we when we exert that and we aren't following the norm, we stand out. Like, hey, what, everybody's doing this, and so and so's doing this, or everybody's doing this, and Billy's doing this. And that takes an inner strength and an inner confidence, self-confidence, to say, I recognize that this is the more conventional way to do things, And I really feel like it is right. It's the right thing to do, and it's my greatest contribution is to do this other thing. And that takes confidence at many different levels, and really knowing who you are and what you're made to do, what your contribution is, and what your talents are, and just recognizing your limitations, so you don't cut your own path in something where you just don't have an ability yet, and expose yourself to something that is too risky where you could be harmed. And that takes practice. It takes experimentation, and in some cases it takes practicing in areas that are of low risk, so you can build that muscle inside of you, so that you can take some of those actions. So when I started to flesh this out and just put my thoughts down on paper, one of the ways that first came to me was, with one way we cut our own path is by taking these creative imaginations, these creative ideas that we have on any level, and mentally starting to step by step go through a formalized planning process to start to bring these creative ideas into the world. So that's one way we do that mentally, exerting our independent will. But as I reflected further on ways where I've had to swim upstream or cut my own path, we also do that linguistically. There's ways that we do that with our words, and we do that through sometimes we do that through saying yes, through saying no, having a powerful no and setting a boundary, cutting our own path there. We do that by negotiating something and counter-offering. We do that by, sometimes we exert our independent will by insisting. We really take a stand for what we care about with our words, and for a cause or for exerting a boundary we have. And sometimes we exert our independent will with words, and we quit. We have a powerful quit. We realize this situation is not working, this relationship's not working, and we center into that, and we say, what, this isn't going to work right now, and we center in that, and then we quit. We leave that situation and open up our life to something that is going to work. So we do that with our words too. So at one of these mornings, I think it's important to just talk about these illocutionary acts. For those of you that like big vocabulary, these words that elicit action. In coaching, they're called speech acts. And how do we coordinate in language, and how do we exert our independent will through language? We also do this with our body. We take specific actions of independent will with our body. Many of you know I come from a tradition of the bodily arts, and so my first experience with the bodily arts was as a wrestler, and so we very much that entire sport is about learning how to exert your independent will in the physical domain, and ways to enter in and compete and score points through actually organizing your body to take a specific action. And then later on, learning other martial arts, and most recently settling into a martial art, the martial art of Aikido, which has really been an amalgam of all the different bodily arts that I've studied and practiced over the years. But in and of that, there's this way that we take action with our body. We exert our independent will with our body. And can we do that in sport? We can do that in the martial arts where we enter in. We can do that with self-defense. If we feel like our safety is being threatened, we can enter in and have courage to step in there. And more commonly, and on a social level, which we're not experiencing as much now, we can access that ability to enter in with our body many times socially. And again, we aren't experiencing a lot of that right now, but that's that ability to see a group, potentially see a group of strangers that are convening, and you're the new person, and you don't have anybody to go to. You just have to enter into that group of strangers and make friends. Well, that's where we center ourselves, and we enter into that unknown space, and we have the courage to act instead of just sitting out on the periphery. And if socially, if we sit out on the periphery, then we might not meet some new friends, some new colleagues, simply because we didn't have the courage to enter into that unknown situation and blend with it as it is. And we do that not just mentally in our head, we actually do that with our body by turning our body into that crowd, entering in, smiling, and saying hi, and being open and curious to where that might go. And so I often am very self-aware that as I'm in situations where I need to enter into unknown social situations, that I really am aware of how similar that is to all those bodily arts and those bodily type sports that help me to go, oh yeah, I know this feels very similar, and then able to access those skills in one domain of my life and transfer them over to the social domain of my life. So that may make perfect sense to some of you, and it may sound a little esoteric to others. And it's an interesting idea, and it's definitely been true to my experience. So we enter in with our body, we enter in with our words, we exert our independent will, and we enter into our mind with our independent will through planning and scheduling and making promises, making commitments. So where I'm going to start, I think I'm going to start today, is working on the mental piece. This has been really something that has been stirring in me. I've been developing and refining for the last year, and I think it's just a beautiful segue from the conversations and reflections on creativity. Is how do we take something from imagination into operation, into reality? And so what I think I shared earlier that I took a course on project planning as a part of a leader training I did as my volunteer work with scouts, with my son. He's a scout, so we did a lot of their leadership training, and I ended up revisiting the art/science of project planning, which I studied in business school. It was great, and coming back to it again, I came to it with fresh eyes and 10 more years or 15 years or more of experience. And what I did this time is I took all the concepts, and I took them and I put them into one legal form. So it was basically the essence of project planning at a glance. So it wasn't a bunch of pieces of different aspects of project planning. This was really all the key components of how do we take our creative idea and we anchor it down in reality, in writing, and then start to work towards logistics, objectives, goals, tasks, celebrations along the way, and have some kind of verification. And what I found over the last year plus is that this is one of a very enjoyable process to take creativity and bring it into reality. And my process is I have a number of, when I start a project, I'm inspired to start working with a project. I write out a sheet for the project that I want to start to work on. Some of you have seen these sheets I've been working with. I just write the project name. I tie in my core values and write out, for some projects, I'll write out a mission statement on what I feel like I'm called to do. Reminds me of my purpose, contribution. And then what I'll do is I'll start taking the image that's in my mind, my imagination, and I just simply on my sheet, I will take a piece of clip art, some images that inspire me, and I'll put them on this vision board, which is already in this project planning sheet, or I'll draw, and I'll start to put images down, these creative images in my imagination. I'll put them down on the vision board on the project planning sheet to remind me of what I'm trying to create, what the future event will look like, will feel like when it's completed. And to me, that becomes the compass. That becomes, to use an orienteering metaphor, it's the compass. It keeps me on track, keeps me motivated as I go through all the ups and downs of the logistical steps. I also write out a vision statement, a statement that is a future-based statement of what my intention is. And then and this one's probably the most powerful for me, is I write a vision narrative. So I look at the picture that I've created that represents the image of the creative project in my mind. I write the vision statement, and then I take time to write the vision narrative. And so what I'm doing there is I'm looking at my vision board, I'm imagining what I'm trying to create in my mind. That really ties into the artist's way and everything we talked about, creative imagination. I'm holding that image of future success. Right now I'm working on a creative project that will be completed on Tuesday, June 30th. So I'm imagining that right now, imagining it, and then what I do is I start to write a narrative for that future experience as though it has already happened. And that's the real key, is to write it in the present tense, so that mentally as I'm holding the image, I'm writing the vision narrative as though I've already received it, I've already accomplished it. And then that becomes an affirmation. And I learned that years ago in the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This was some work, just studying the work of Stephen Covey, is that, when you write an affirmation, it's important that it's personal, present tense, positive, visual. In other words, you can visualize it, and it's emotional. It has an emotion tied into it, some kind of something that is satisfying, or an emotion that's a positive emotion for you. And that's how I really start a project. Is I take extra time to write down my core values, mission. I take time that I do the arts and crafts piece of creating the vision board, even if it's just one piece of clip art, even just one. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It just has to be an image that inspires me. and reminds me of what I'm trying to create, reinforces the mental image in my mind. A vision statement helps me to crystallize in language what it is I'm intending to do. And the vision narrative helps me live it twice. So I live it in my imagination through images and through a futuristic narrative as I close my eyes. And then I live it a second time when I actually accomplish it and realize it on this physical realm. And so the principle here with creation is that all things are created twice with humans, is that they're first created in our imagination and then they're created again in reality. And so that's really what I'm sharing here. Is this is one way to do that, is to blend creative imagination and art with the science and art of project planning, which is traditionally a business skill set. Marry them and let them blend them together so we can more skillfully start to create plans and goals and objectives that are infused with meaning and infused with our creativity and infused with our art. And so that's really exciting for me to experience that on a regular basis now. My experience is that what it's more conventional is in project planning is the creative artistic part is cut out. There's a goal, or there's just a goal and an objective, and almost all the attention is given to the logistics, to the objectives, to the goals, what, where, when, why, how, the tasks. That's in my experience most of how we're taught to plan projects, is to just, there might be a really inspiring conversation in the beginning that gets things going. That's a creative conversation, but soon it can easily get lost in the logistics, in just getting it done, and we lose the spirit and we can lose the excitement of the creative aspect of it. And what I love about bringing these worlds together is that the creative imagination part is anchored on the same document as all the objective and impersonal logistics. And so they in my experience, they work together. The inspiration, we can use our creative right brain for the inspiration, the motivation, problem solving, and we can use our analytical left brain in order to map out efficiency, logistics, and make sure that we're navigating this in the most efficient way possible, and making sure it isn't too expensive. And we're really using both sides of our brain when we enter projects that include both the creativity of the right brain and the analytics of the left brain. And so I just want to bring that out there, that it doesn't have to be an either or, they don't have to be separate, that it can be a both and it's likely that we're all going to have a preference. We're going to have a preference for the creative right brain side of the project, or we're going to have a preference for the analytical left brain side of the project. So the key is balance. The key is to balance ourselves out so that we can really use both. So that is, there's more to say. I'll talk more about some of the logistical pieces later on. But it's food for thought. It's food for reflection to say, what are ways What is your process for bringing your creative ideas into the world? And can you balance that out? Notice what your preference is, and then can we all start to balance that out so we're using more of our full intelligence as we exert our independent will and bring these ideas into reality. So with that, let's prepare ourselves for for centering and morning meditation. So let's first check in with our mood and notice what your mood is right now. I feel pretty excited myself and happy. And so notice what your mood is, and again, we're meeting that without judgment, without attachment, and without resistance. And for those of you that are new to this meditation in the morning, what I mean by that is when I'm noticing right now, I feel excited and happy. There's a certain amount of I'm just noticing that, and I'm not saying that I'm allowing myself to just experience that without saying that feeling happy and excited is better than if I were feeling heavy and sad. Both are just emotional information coming into my awareness that I can use to help navigate the day. So notice what your mood is, your emotions are, and that may shift by the end of the meditation. So let's start by systematically relaxing our body. That's starting with our eyes. So relaxing our eyes. Relaxing our jaw. Relaxing your neck. Bring your shoulders up. One more time, shoulders up. Opening your chest, you can imagine, use some imagery here. Imagine that your chest is kind of opening up like butterfly wings, or you can imagine it's like you're opening up a scroll or a book. So that felt imagery can help you start to open your chest. Relaxing your diaphragm, this breathing muscle right on your lower rib cage. So relaxing the diaphragm. Relaxing your belly. Relaxing your hips and pelvic muscles. So similar to the shoulders, we can contract our pelvis, pull it up and in, and then let that go. And then pulling our pelvis up and in, and let that go. Relaxing our thighs and knees, shins and calves, feet and toes. So we're starting to just make more space in our body, relaxing our body. And then let's begin by working on centering in our length from top to bottom, in our width from left to right, and our depth from front to back. So seated or standing, let's center ourselves in our vertical line, extending down through my feet, through my sit bones, and extending up through the crown of my head. And we're both straightening and settling. In other words, I'm not getting so tall that I'm actually starting to charge myself up. I'm straightening, and at the same time I'm settling into that. Relaxing the weight of my body on my bones, my skeletal system. And we're feeling that vertical line somatically as our human line of dignity, self-respect. Feeling ourselves as we feel our body from the inside out. We're feeling this vertical line, feeling ourselves as a bridge between heaven and earth. Take a deep breath in with our imagery. So a deep breath in through the crown of the head. And exhale out through your feet and hands. A deep breath in through your feet and hands. Exhaling out through the crown of your head. And one more time, deep breath in through the crown of your head. Exhaling out through your feet and hands. Taking a moment to feel yourself centered in your length. And then let's take our left hand, place it on our chest, right hand on our belly. Symbolically, this is like a self-embrace, reminding ourselves to feel ourselves, to take care of ourselves. It can be very easy, especially in this time of a lot of social need. We can be so busy taking care of others that we neglect our own health, our own learning, our own spiritual development. And so we want to create balance there. Feel the boundaries of your skin. And then extending out, starting to open up our arms, extending out to maybe someone else in your home. I'm extending out to my son in the other room there. Maybe extend out and extend out your attention and your awareness outside a window, extending out to trees out there, including them in my awareness. And then if we can, let's extend out to, reach out to someone who's hard for us to care about, an enemy, an adversary, an opponent. Try to extend some compassion to them too. Let's take a deep breath in through our left hand. Pull that breath through the center of your body. Exhale out your right. Deep breath in through your right hand. Pull that breath through the center of your body. Exhale out your left. And deep breath in through your left hand. And exhale out your right. Just take a moment to feel there, feeling yourself balanced in your width. In other words, balanced between your commitment to self, yourself, and others. Relaxing your arms. Start to move into depth here. Start to lean forward a little bit and then lean back a little bit. As you lean forward, imagine that space in front of you as your future. These could be your creative visions, your projects, all these things that are on the horizon that are pulling you forward. As you lean into your back, feel your past experiences, all the experiences that have shaped you. They've shaped how you think, they've shaped your beliefs, they've shaped your character, they've shaped your values. You're feeling your teachers at your back, both those that initiated you and those that just came into your life for a moment, taught you something, and then moved on. And we need both. At your back, feel your lineage, feel your parents at your back, your grandparents, uncles, nephews. And creating this imagery of we have this depth of experience of people, of experiences, of talents, of competencies that we can rest into, and gives us the confidence to enter into an unknown future, and with the confidence that we will create something positive, and the faith that we can use the history of our back to create something that will be life affirming in the future. And as you start to imagine the space in front of you, imagine your visions, your longings, your yearnings, your declarations, things you've spoken into reality already. And then let's center ourselves from front to back here, so that there's All the weight of your body is going down through your sit bones, through your feet. You can feel your history at your back, and you're not living there. You can feel where you're headed, what's providing you direction, and you're not living there, hoping that one day when this future event happens, then you'll be at peace, then you'll be happy. It's a compass, but you're not hoping that you're not living for that day and just enduring all the other days until that day happens. We're collecting all our presence, all our energy, all our attention into this moment, which is the only moment that ever really is. Our quality of presence and attention in this moment will shape what happens in the future. If we're anxious and we're scattered in this moment, that will create anxiety and scatteredness in future moments. It can remind us that our quality of attention now is primary. Let's drop our attention into our center. Place your right hand there. Dropping your attention out of your thinking self, drop down into your feeling self. Let's take 3 deep breaths here. Deep breath in. And exhale. And a deep breath in. And exhale. And one more deep breath, full breath. I invite you to close your eyes now, beginning our meditation together. And as you enter into the silence of the meditation, our 1-minute meditation, just remember that after the closing chime rings, if you feel like you need to sit longer, just pass on my prompts to close and just continue to sit in silence until you're complete with that. So set your intention here as your eyes are closed, setting your intention for the day, for the week, for the month. And we'll enter in again with the same poem, I Talk to My Body. It's a beautiful metaphor for taking action and independent will, one of our human freedoms between the stimulus, what happens to us, and our response. My body, you are an animal whose appropriate behavior is concentration and discipline. In effort of an athlete, of a saint, and of a yogi, well trained, you will become for me a gate through which I leave myself, and a gate through which I enter myself. A plumb line to the center of the earth, and a cosmic ship to Jupiter. My body, you are an animal for whom ambition is right. Splendid possibilities are open to us. My body, you are an animal whose appropriate behavior is concentration and discipline. In effort of an athlete, of a saint, and of a yogi, well trained, you will become for me a gate through which I leave myself, and a gate through which I enter myself, a plumb line to the center of the earth, and a cosmic ship to Jupiter. My body, you are an animal for whom ambition is right. Splendid possibilities are open to us. And as we close our practice, remind yourself again, for the sake of what? Set your intention again. And then on your next exhale, very slowly and very gently begin to move your arms and legs. And then very slowly and very gently begin to open your eyes and let the outside world come back in again. Notice your mood right now. Notice if that shifted since the beginning of our time together this morning. Notice the creative impulses and thoughts that might be emerging in you and how they might shape your day. And as you move throughout the day with this intention, may we all keep our that felt sense of our feet planted firmly on the ground. So we have a day that's inspired and yet grounded. So thank you all for sharing the time this morning. Henrietta, Kathy, Darlene, I see Mark is on, Jamie, Jesse, and Mark, and Jen. So thank you for sharing the time and creating the circle of intention. And may we all be blessed by sharing this time, and may it shape our day. So I will see you tomorrow at 7 a.m. We're going to continue this exploration of human freedom, or human freedom of independent will, and sharing more reflections and ideas on how we can expand that at this time when our outside liberty is limited. How can we expand our internal freedom? Bye for now, and blessings on your day.